Have you ever been in one of those debates, where everyone just knows they're right, and anyone who disagrees is, well, maybe foolish or just doesn't get it?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common thing, isn't it? That feeling of certainty.
Totally.
Yeah.
But what if an ancient text could actually explain why we do that? And maybe even show a way past all that fighting?
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah. So today we're doing a deep dive into parts of a really foundational Buddhist text, the Cūḷaviyūhasutta. It's part of the Satanapada.
A classic and remarkably relevant.
Exactly. It's not just some old document. It really looks hard at why we, cling to our views and what truth even means.
Okay.
So our mission here is kind of unpack what this sutta is saying, how it sees disagreements, its take on truth, and maybe what it offers for finding some peace in, well, a world full of opinions.
Sounds like a worthwhile exploration. Where does it start?
All right, let's dig in. It jumps right into the fray, basically painting a picture of these intellectual battles we see all the time. So the sutta gets straight to it, right? It talks about how people grab onto their own views. The text says, sakasaka dihiparibhasana.
Embracing their own perspective.
And then, almost in the same breath, they claim they're the experts, the kusala.
Right, the skilled ones.
But the flip side is, they immediately say anyone else, anyone with a different view, is bolo, foolish, unskilled. I'm right, you're obviously wrong.
Yeah, it nails that dynamic perfectly. And what's really striking is how current that feels, even though it's ancient. It forces you to think, okay, if everyone does that, what happens?
Exactly.
And Sutta basically asks, right, if everyone's saying my view is the truth and dismissing everyone else, well, which one is the truth?
And who's actually wise if everyone claims to be?
Precisely. It sets up this logical puzzle right away.
So it points out this universal tendency. Does it then sort of explore the consequences of that logic?
It does, and it's quite clever. It lays out this paradox. If you call someone foolish just because they don't accept your view, then aren't you just as foolish in the eyes of everyone whose views you reject?
Right. It turns it right back around on the person judging.
Exactly. It's like this endless loop of mutual dismissal. Everyone's pointing a finger.
Wow, yeah. It completely undercuts any sense of having the high ground just because you're convinced.
And it flips it, too. It asks, well, what if being really firm in your own view makes you pure and skilled?
Okay.
Then, logically, nobody could really be called foolish because everyone's just being firm in their own perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
So either everyone's foolish or no one is, based on that standard. It really destabilizes the whole idea of judging others based purely on agreement or disagreement.
It does. It challenges that self-certainty that comes just from holding a belief strongly. And this naturally leads into the sutta's next big point about truth itself.
Yeah, because if everyone's stuck in this judgment loop, you have to ask, what is this truth they're all supposedly defending?
Right. The text points out this core issue. What one person holds up as true, as real, someone else just dismisses as empty or false.
We see that every day.
Absolutely. And so the sutta asks this really pointed question. Why don't the so-called wise ones, the saman, why don't they all just agree and speak a single unified truth, if truth is truth?
Yeah, why all the different camps?
And the answer it gives is pretty deep. It says there is one truth, fundamentally. A single truth, not a second one, that someone who truly understands wouldn't argue about.
Okay, so there is one truth.
According to this, yes. But, and this is the key bit, people invent different truths for themselves. Nanate sakani saitonanti, as the text puts it. They create their own versions.
So the diversity isn't in the truth itself, but in what people construct and call truth.
That seems to be the implication. It's not that there are objectively many truths out there.
So when the sutta asks directly, are there really many diverse truths, or is it all just speculation?
It answers pretty definitively. No, not really, except as perceptions we hold. It says people rely on speculation and their views, and then they label those constructions as true or false.
I see. So the many truths we argue about are more like products of our own minds, our own clinging, rather than objective realities.
That's what it strongly suggests. And it makes you ask, okay, if there's this underlying unity, why are we so invested in creating these divisions based on our own mental frameworks?
Which brings us back to the psychology of it all, doesn't it? This isn't just abstract philosophy about truth anymore.
Not at all. It gets very personal. The sutta talks about how Holding on to a judgment may be based on something you've seen or heard, or a practice you follow, or just an idea you've conceived.
The Cūļaviyūhasutta.
Exactly. How holding on to that firmly can make you feel superior. You start mocking others, calling them foolish and unskilled.
It's that loop again. Calling them foolish makes you feel skilled.
Precisely. It's self-reinforcing. The text uses this really strong word. It says the person becomes intoxicated by their view.
Intoxicated. Wow.
Yeah, filled with conceit, basically self-anointed as better, purely because of this belief they're holding on to so tightly.
That says a lot about how ego gets tangled up in what we believe. It's not just an idea. It's part of us.
Definitely. And it says this isn't just individuals, it applies to whole groups, sects, or tithya, who say only their way leads to purity. Everyone else is imperfect.
Here alone is purity. That sounds familiar.
Right. They get passionately attached sandithyodogena to their own perspective, convinced theirs is the only valid path. Sakanatata the halvadana. They're dug in.
So, okay, the Sutta paints this picture of clinging, judgment, intoxication with one's own views. What's the cost? What are the consequences?
Well, the Sutta points at the inherent contradiction again. If you're so rigidly stuck in your own way, who can you even legitimately call foolish?
Good point.
And more directly, it says by labeling others like that as foolish, impure, you actually just bring conflict and trouble onto yourself. Sayameva somatakavaya. Your judgment creates your own disturbance.
So the judgment itself is the source of the conflict, not necessarily the difference in views.
That's a huge part of it. The act of judging and dismissing creates the strife, which then leads to the Sutta's ultimate conclusion, its path towards peace.
Okay, what's the way out?
It's profound, really. It's as a truly wise person, someone who gives up all these fixed judgments and rigid determinations, hitvana sabani viniciani.
Letting go of those firm conclusions.
Yes. That person simply doesn't create conflict in the world. Nameta kakrute jantilok. By dropping the need to judge and assert their view as the only right one, the conflict dissolves.
But does that mean just?
Yeah.
Not caring? Or not having any discernment?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? I don't think it means being indifferent or losing your ability to see clearly. It seems to be more about letting go of the need to invalidate others to validate yourself, transcending that ego-driven need to be right at the expense of harmony.
So it's less about winning the argument and more about stepping out of the argument altogether, in a sense.
Perhaps stepping out of the conflict-generating aspect of the argument, understanding without condemning, seeing clearly without the intoxication of conceit.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for everyone listening. What does this deep dive into the Cūļaviyūhasutta really offer you?
Well, I think it holds up a pretty powerful mirror, doesn't it? It shows us our own tendencies to grab onto beliefs, to judge, to feel superior.
Definitely felt familiar.
And it challenges this idea that the world is full of equally valid competing truths. It suggests maybe there's a deeper single understanding, but our conflict comes from the truths we build ourselves, fueled by that. Well, that intoxication the Sutta talks about.
Right. Not necessarily saying truth is relative, but that our fights about truth often stem from our own minds.
Exactly. And the provocative idea it leaves us with is that peace comes not from proving everyone else wrong, but from relinquishing that very need to judge and condemn.
By giving up those fixed positions, you stop creating the conflict.
It's a radical shift in perspective.
So maybe the question for you listening is, how might you engage with different views if you took this ancient wisdom to heart? What could change if the focus shifted away from just being right and more towards understanding without needing to invalidate the other person?
It suggests that real wisdom might not be in having the best argument, but maybe in finding that quiet space that opens up when we let go of the need for everyone else to see the world exactly as we do.
Something definitely worth thinking about. A lot to mull over there.